This is the BrainChip Quarterly Investor Podcast. Join us for answers to some of the most frequently asked questions put forward by BrainChip shareholders each quarter. This podcast is for both existing investors and potential future investors who are interested in the development of AI.
Welcome to episode 6 of the BrainChip Quarterly Investor Podcast series. My name is Tony Dorr, Director of Global Investor Relations for BrainChip. Each quarter, I will compile a list of some of our shareholders' most frequently asked questions and put those questions to a senior member of the BrainChip team. Today, I'll be putting those questions directly to BrainChip CEO, Sean Hehir. Hi, Sean, and welcome back to the Quarterly Investor Podcast to discuss the June quarter and some recent developments.
Hey, Tony, glad to be here, and hello to all of our loyal shareholders.
So, Sean, looking back, the AGM stands out as the major event of the June quarter. Your presentation, and especially the CTO's presentation, leaned heavily into a very positive narrative around our proprietary algorithm TENS in combination with Akida 2.0. And you talked about how it was generating significant interest from customers. Could you elaborate on that and discuss how this is impacting on our commercial strategy going forward?
Sure, glad to do that. First, let me offer a slight modification to your question. Our highlighting of technology at the AGM was both our Akida 2.0 and TENS, because I think that's really important to establish right up front that we are committed to both of those offerings and taking both of those offerings to market individually and collectively together. Relative to TENS, let me make some comments to your question. We see great commercial possibilities with this technology. It offers a unique value proposition to prospects, one where you can train on a smaller data set, perform your AI inference with a smaller number of parameters, thus a smaller number of operations, which is a dramatic lowering of power. So if you take the Akida power attributes and you take the TENS attributes, you get the best of both worlds. And the way we're positioning this is really quite simple. We're now offering acceleration of models in the hardware with Akida 2.0 and also at the algorithm level with TENS. And what we'll offer people is obviously the core algorithm to build their own models. And then we'll also offer pre-trained models themselves based off of TENS. All of these will generate outstanding results of acceleration of the use case that people are depending on. Now, the way to look at it, again, is just simply this way. It's an extension of the portfolio, and we're offering acceleration now at both the hardware level and the software level.
Thanks, Sean. So the AGM was also significant because the company picked up a second strike against its remuneration report. What lessons has the company learned from this?
You know, the primary lesson we've learned from this is to communicate better. We listened very carefully to the feedback from our shareholders the year before, where they give us very strong feedback on our remuneration policy. The BrainChip board put in place a very strong remuneration policy reflecting the requested change, and we put that up. What we should have done better was educating people on that policy in advance, pointing them to it in advance, and asking them to read in advance so they'd have a little bit more. That's something we should have learned on, which is we need to educate people or communicate better about these kind of changes. So that's one. But I'd also think it's important to say that one of the things that I believe happened at that vote was also part of the education and communication, but it also can be reflective of a vote of our performance in the market commercially. I know shareholders are not satisfied. I am not satisfied. But I'll come back to what I've said before. We got the right technology. I remain as optimistic as I ever have about the possibilities in front of us and the market opportunities that continue to come to us.
Thanks, Sean. Many shareholders have asked me for updates on the Aita Edge box being made by VVDN. Please tell us what you can about these and remind us again about the strategy around this specific product so that we can understand the expectations the company has for it.
The Akida Edge box effort is in line with our expectations. But let me clarify, and I believe I've clarified this before. Our expectations in this box were never to achieve large volume sales through BrainChip. It was a way to get a commercially grade box into market for the purpose of people who want to evaluate our technology. When I say commercially grade, obviously it has 2 Akida 1000s in there. It will have software layers in there with a user interface, easier ability to evaluate models, do demos, etc. So it's commercially available. Our sales expectations are perfectly in line with where we set out to be. All the volume sales that could occur from this will happen through our partnership with VVDM. They recently put it up on their website, and I know they're starting their commercial efforts right now and their go-to-market efforts around targeting key accounts on their sales effort.
Two significant events have occurred since the end of the June quarter, which deserve to be discussed on this podcast, namely the retirement of our co-founder and Chief Development Officer, Anil Mankar, and the appointment of our new Chief Marketing Officer, Steve Brightfield. Would you care to say a few words about both these gentlemen?
Sure. Let me start with Anil. Anil's a co-founder of BrainChip along with Peter Vandermeer and has been instrumental in helping realize Peter's unique and revolutionary vision to bring neuromorphic AI to silicon. Their collaborative partnership and their specific gift as technology innovators and pioneers leave a huge legacy that I am entrusted with to take forward. In my time with BrainChip, I've worked very closely with Anil and seen the hard work, the passion, and dedication he's poured into this company. He retires after a 45-year career in silicon as one of their true champions and remains very committed to the company's ongoing success. While Anil officially retires at the end of the year, we have already taken steps to begin his transition. And in fact, both John Tapson and Tony Lewis are very active in day-to-day. And Anil at this point is really acting as an advisor and consulting role. This is what good companies do, orderly transitions, and we're well on a path, and I'm very comfortable that that transition will continue exceptionally well. Now, relative to Steve, he comes to BrainChip with an outstanding resume and background as a technology marketer. His industry knowledge, contacts, and insights are exactly what we need at this important point in our company's growth. He will bring rigor and focus to our marketing efforts to ensure we continue to build our brand, educate the world about our incredible portfolio of products, and target our customers with laser-like focus to maximize our chance of commercial success. He's already hit the ground running. He's been here 6 days, and I see an impact already.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. The closure of the BrainChip Research Institute, or BRI, here in Perth has come as a shock to some of our Australian shareholders who are disappointed to see the company reducing its presence in Australia. Can you discuss some of the thinking behind this decision?
You know, Tony, anytime you close an entity or anytime you have to have people leave the company, it's always very, very tough. But first, let me begin with the following. I want to thank all the contributions of the team member in our research institute in Perth. They helped us on our mission, and for that, we'll be eternally grateful. And in fact, some of them have joined us here in America to continue their work. But in the end, I'm entrusted to achieve business goals, which is to advance our commercialization of our products at the lowest possible cost structure. And what we needed to do with TENS was consolidate all of our energy here in Laguna Hills and hire up around our TENS effort in machine learning. And that's exactly what we did. I also want to reassure our Australian shareholders that we remain fully committed to maintaining a strong presence in Australia. We are an ASX-listed company that necessitates that we maintain our company, secretarial, and share registry functions in Australia. Also, the overwhelming majority of our shareholders are based in Australia, so that necessitates that we maintain our investor relations function in Australia, and that our Australian shareholders are represented by Australian-based directors on our board. It also ensures that I will continue to be a regular visitor to Australia to conduct investor roadshows and build relationships with all of our shareholders.
While we're on the subject of renewal and restructuring, it's also been recently announced that the Scientific Advisory Board has been reconstituted with all new members.
Yes, the reconstitution of the SAB provides it with new energy and focus under the leadership of Tony Lewis. The role of the SAB is to provide independent advice based on science and deep understanding of key issues impacting AI research and the broader trends in the AI sector. Once again, BrainChip has demonstrated its ability to attract world-class talent to join our team. Dr. Jason Azragian is an Australian who has become a leader in the field of neuromorphic research, an entrepreneur, an innovator, and a deep thinker, and somebody who I've known and respected for a couple of years. Dr. Andre von Schaik is a pioneer in the field of neuromorphic engineering. He has an extensive background in technology startups and understands the challenges of bringing new disruptive technology to market. Both Jason, Andre, and Peter, world-class scientists, will support BrainChip, and an honor to have them active on our board. And I look forward to adding more distinguished scientists to our boards in the near future.
Thanks, Sean. Another quarter has passed without a signed commercial IP agreement. It's now been over 2.5 years since you joined BrainChip, and during your tenure, the company hasn't sold any IP agreements. Isn't it time to admit that the IP-only strategy has failed and consider a more flexible approach to doing things?
I disagree with that, Tony. IP is the ultimate flexible offering in a market, particularly a market that is still forming and shaping. I could share a lot of data, and I will in the upcoming webcast that we're going to do in a few weeks or months around that, about the market and the edge market. It is no doubt it is accelerating and growing and shaping, but having the ability to address a variety of use cases and a variety of nodes is the right model. So it is definitely the right business model to do at this point in time. But also, let's reflect on the journey since I've been here. When I came, first thing I looked at was Akida 1.0. While it's really solid, is very, very narrow. We needed to spend a long period of time to develop Akida 2.0, which is now complete. The reaction from our prospects is incredibly strong. Now we are adding tens to that, and we're creating even more customer interest. Again, I believe strongly, and I remain as optimistic as I ever have, that commercial success will come to this company.
Obviously, the recent announcement of a substantial placement to Australian institutional investors to raise $25 million is a big talking point among investors. Can you explain why you chose to raise capital now and not earlier?
The decision to raise capital in the current market was based on our understanding of our needs going forward, predicated on the development of new products such as TENS, and the requirement to eliminate funding risk for the foreseeable future. Once we were confident we had a solid go-to-market strategy with this new product, we committed to raising capital and bring this new product to market, while also continuing to fund our R&D work on the next generation of neuromorphic AI products. The placement of Australian investors was done through the building relationships over several years and numerous roadshows and presentations. The impact of this placement will see more institutionalized share register and provide BrainChip with the means to invest in growth and put our foot on the accelerator. The other consequence is it allows us to fulfill our current capital obligation with the LDK capital earlier than expected. With this raising, we see several new investors come onto our register, and we welcome back some former investors who know BrainChip's story very well and are supportive of our strategy.
Can you explain what the primary use of these funds will be as you ramp up the focus on bringing TENS to the market?
Primary use of funds for the capital raise will enable us to move to the next stage of our technology roadmap, focused not only on optimizing Akida 2.0, but also into TENS, and bring both of those products to the market as quickly as possible. They are highly complementary technologies, and we are very excited about this innovative and unique combination of products.
I've received several questions from shareholders regarding the reference in the investor presentation deck to the development of a cloud-based FPGA system to run Akida 2.0 for customer evaluation purposes. Firstly, what is this, and what does it mean in terms of our commitment to producing Akida 2.0 in silicon?
Let's take the second part of that question first. It doesn't mean we've committed to producing a piece of silicon based off Akida 2.0. It is something that we may. It is something we're considering. We are always deciding whether we should or should not, depending on the market and the opportunities. But specifically for the FPGA and or cloud-based FPGA, it's just a simple way for customers to go to a cloud and evaluate the performance of our RTL around Akida 2.0 and also TENS in there without a piece of silicon. So look at it this way as an investor. It's really a low-cost way to give a virtualized, simulated environment for people to test our products.
As part of the capital raise, the company also offered a share purchase plan to existing shareholders, which enables them to purchase up to $30,000 worth of new shares at the same price as the placement to institutional investors. Can you explain what the purpose of the SPP is?
Certainly. The SPP was something shareholders who attended our AGM in May asked us to consider, and we did. They understood that the company would most likely need to raise additional capital in the not-too-distant future. The point of the SPP is that allows us to raise additional capital from our existing and very large retail investor base over and above what we raised from the institutional investors. In doing so, provide an opportunity for retail investors to acquire more shares on the equivalent terms and prices as the institutions, as well as minimize the dilutionary impact of issuing new shares. It was something we were happy to do for our shareholders.
Looking forward to the next quarter and beyond, I'm assuming we're going to be hearing a lot more about TENS and some of the use cases associated with the deployment of TENS with our Akida 2.0 technology. Can you provide some idea of the types of use cases you'll be highlighting to potential customers and which ones you think will have the best prospect of commercial success?
That roadmap is evolving as we speak, but things that I'm very confident on because we're engaged with several prospects on is audio denoising is first and foremost. It's an ideal use case for TENS, followed by a TENS-based keyword spotting. And keyword spotting, well, it seems like a simple term. It is still a very fundamental part of edge AI computing. So we're seeing a lot of strong interest in keyword spotting based off of TENS as well. It also allows us to actually package up keyword spotting, which is usually very small models, with a very unique configuration we have on our Akida 2.0. Coming back to that power I talked about earlier, which is accelerating both in the hardware and on the algorithmic level. So keyword spotting is a very good use case for TENS and Akida together. And as you saw at the AGM, we are definitely going to support LLMs on the edge. It's an undeniable trend in the AI industry right now of LLMs moving outside the data center to the edge. We are looking forward to a very strong offering in that piece and that offering in the market in the near future.
Just to clarify, Sean, does the introduction of TENS to our product offering mean that we're choosing to not promote and sell our Akida 1.0 and Akida 1500 technology as IP?
No, that certainly is not the case. We will continue to sell Akida 1.0 and Akida 1500. The addition of 2.0 and TENS are just expansions of our portfolio. We actually have engagements across all of our offerings right now.
Thanks, Sean. It's been a pleasure talking to you today, and I hope your responses to these questions go some way to satisfying investors' appetite for more information about BrainChip.
Thank you, Tony. It's always a pleasure to talk to our shareholders, and thank you for your loyal support.
Thank you for listening to episode 6 of the BrainChip Quarterly Investor Podcast with my guest, BrainChip CEO Sean Hehir. Episode 7 of the BrainChip Quarterly Investor Podcast will be released in early November 2024. Until then, on behalf of BrainChip, thank you for your support and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the BrainChip Quarterly Investor Podcast. Please remember to rate and review on your favorite podcast platform. You can always learn more at brainchip.com.